Okay, today we're going to be talking about combining like terms. So before we start, we're going to, of course, go over some definitions. So the definition that we have, it kind of is, what is a like term? So a like term is a term that have the same base and exponents. Coefficients do not matter. So coefficients, if you don't know, are just the numbers that are in front of the variable. So I have split the screen up into what like terms look like and unlike terms look like. So a like term, like I said, have the same exponent and have the same base. So an example of a like term will be 3x and 7x. They have the same base and they have the same exponent. All right, the exponent would have been 1. All right, so another example of one that has the same, that is a like term, will be negative 3x squared and 8x squared. Once again, same base, same exponent. And one more will be 4xy, 4 times x times y, and 5x times y. All right, so they have the same variables and it has the same exponents. So next I'm going to give an example of what unlike terms look like. So we'll start with this. It has the same, these two don't have the same exponent or base, so I'm going to do 3x and 7y. So obviously this is a x, this is a y, so those are going to be different. Another example would be, we'll say negative 3x squared and 7x third to the third, 7x cubed. They have the same base, yes, but they have different exponents, so they're not like terms. And the last one I'll do is negative 2x squared times y and 5x times y. If you see that they have the same variables, they both have an x and they have a y, but this x has a 2 and this x don't, so that makes them unlike terms. Alright, so we're going to start with our example, and whenever I do like terms, I like to just actually highlight the terms in the sequence, in the expression that are actually like. So if I read this, I have 3x plus 7x plus 3x squared plus 5x squared. Alright, so the like terms in here would be 3x and 7x. Alright, so 3x is positive as well as 7x. Make sure when you're combining terms, you also highlight or circle the operation that is in front. So if it's a plus sign, that means that term is positive. If it's a subtraction sign, that means that that term is negative. All right, so we got to get used to plus signs and negative signs and subtraction signs, also meaning whether or not the number is positive or negative. All right, so we have 3x and 7x are like terms, and then we have 3x squared and 5x squared as like terms. All right, so we have our like terms. We'll first do the blue. We actually want to combine. When you combine, you either add or subtract. So we have 3x plus 7x, which will give us 10x. That's what we got in blue. And what we have in green is 3x squared plus 5x squared, so that will give us 8x squared. When you combine like terms, you do not touch you do not touch the variable, and you do not touch the exponent. The only thing you touch is those coefficients. So you're either adding or subtracting the coefficients, and you're leaving the variables and the exponents alone. Alright, so since we can't have anything else to combine, us actually simplifying and combining like terms, that gives us 10x plus 8x squared, and we're complete with that example. Alright, so for our next example, we have 6x to the 5th plus 7x squared minus 3x plus 5x squared minus x to the 5th. Alright, so the very first thing we want to do is go across the expression and actually highlight our like term. So our first term is a 6x to the 5th. So I'm going to highlight that. So I'm going to highlight that in green. Alright, so I'm just going to go through the sequence and see if I see any other term that has a x to the 5th. And I do, and that's at the end. And once again, I have a subtraction sign in front of that. So that means that that x to the 5th is actually negative. So I want to include that operation in there. Alright, so our next term is going to be 7x to the 2nd. So 7x squared, and the other term that I see that looks like that is a like term, is this 5x squared at the end. And then we just have this lonely negative 3x in the center. So that's a term all on its own. All right, so we're going to start by combining what's in green. So I have 6x to the 5th minus x to the 5th. So that means a 6 minus 1, which will give us 5x to the 5th. Then I have what is in blue. So that's a 7x squared plus 5x squared. And 7 plus 5 will give me 12. So I have 12x squared. And then lastly, I have that negative 3x. Since I can't actually do anything with that, I just leave it at the end. And so right there, when I combine those like terms, I get 5x to the 5th plus 12x squared minus 3x. All right, our next example of combining like terms and simplifying expressions is the one that's on the screen. And of course, we're going to start off by actually highlighting our like terms. So if I go across the sequence, the first term that I see is a 6x times y. So I'm going to highlight that in blue. And if I go across the sequence and I just literally go down the line, I see another term that looks like that, which is a negative 3xy. And then I'm going to keep going to check to see if I have anything else, and I do, and that's right there. That's negative 7xy is also a like term. You can have more than one like term. More than two, I should say, like terms. And now I see two terms that are left. I have a plus 7x squared times y. And then I also see I have a negative 7x, and neither of those are alike, so they're just going to be single terms. All right, so the only thing I see that are in the same color and that are like terms of what I highlighted in blue. So I'm actually going to go ahead and just combine those terms. So I have a 6xy minus 3xy minus 7xy. So that will give me a negative 4xy. And then I have what is in red. Since I can't combine anything with that, that just goes there. And the yellow too, I can't combine anything with that. So those just go at the end. All right. So that is me combining like terms for that example. All right. So we have our very last example. And our last example is 3x squared plus y cubed plus 5x squared minus 3y cubed plus 5y cubed. All right, so that's our last example. And as always, I'm just going to go through the line, go through the expression, and actually highlight my like terms. So my first term is a 3x squared. And my second term is a y to the third. That isn't a like term, but 5x to the second, 5x squared is a like term. So I can highlight that blue. And I have a negative 3y to the third. That's not a like term because the exponents and variables are different. But my last term, I have a, I have a plus 5y to the third. And that's not a like term. So in blue, those are the only two like terms. And then I have three terms left. So we'll see if those are like. I have a y to the third. My next term is a negative 3y to the third. So that is alike because the variables are the same and the exponents. And then my last term was a 5y to the third. So that's also alike. So I have two sets of like terms. So for what's in blue, I have a 3y to the, I have 3y squared plus 5y squared. Those are like terms. So I'm just going to add those together and get an 8x squared. And then I have what is in blue. So the coefficient in front, I have what's in yellow, green. And so I have a y to the third. That means that coefficient is 1. So if you don't see the variable, if you don't see the coefficient is 1. So I have a 1 minus 3, which will give me a negative 2, plus 5, which will give me a positive 3. All right. So I have combined like terms. I've simplified my expression, and I am complete. So that is how you combine like terms.